evening from the News Radio, 1120 AM and 93.7 FM, KPNW studios. I'm Baby New Year. Yeah, I know. I look old, but Baby New Year ages fast. Anyway, I'm Bill London. I do the wake-up call 6 a.m. to 9 on KPNW, streaming online at kpnw.com. And tonight's news is brought to you by Rick Dancer. Hey, look at you go, Rick. That's because Rick believes that news really is important and that there are a lot of stories out there that are important that you're not necessarily going to find in the mainstream media. And that's one of the things that, well, we strive for. All right, let's take a look at some of the stories we're following. It's interesting because, of course, we have a lot of newly elected individuals that are being sworn in. And so that means a lot of individuals who held elective office are leaving. And one of those would be Oregon Secretary of State LaVon Griffin-Vilade. Now, keep in mind, she was appointed, and we now have a new Secretary of State here in Oregon, Tobias Reed, the former state treasurer. But Oregon State Secretary of State LaVon Griffin-Vilade, on her final day in office, did something pretty interesting. Her audits division referred the results of an investigation into Governor Tina Kotek's office, and they referred the results to the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. So this was after tips came in of Oregon taxpayer dollars being misused. And in Oregon, we have this thing called the State Government Accountability Hotline, where whistleblowers or people that just think that their tax money is being wasted can call in. So a number were called in about this governor's office. And I have to say, LaVon Griffin-Vilade did the right thing in having her auditors take a look at it. So what did she find that the governor ostensibly or allegedly did wrong? Well, Governor Kotek, according to the audit, extended paid parking benefits to her spouse and another official as well. Keep in mind, her spouse is not a state worker. Also, Governor Kotek's office paid for an event with no state purpose and for entertainment, and the governor's office paid $6,000 for a barbecue party that had no state purpose. All right, taking a look at some really unnerving things from a couple of Oregon school districts. In the Salem Kaiser Public School District, they paid Joshua Rist, a music teacher, accused of grooming and abusing two students, $30,000 if he would quit. The district also agreed to remove from its website and social media a video message from Superintendent Andrea Castaneda to the community, in which she states in that video, "I do not believe Mr. Rist should be allowed to serve students in the Salem Kaiser School District or anywhere else." Keep in mind, the school district also paid $400,000 to settle a lawsuit alleging that Rist, a former McNary High School choir teacher, groomed and sexually abused a pair of students between 2015 and 2020. And by the way, his Oregon teacher's license remains active. Now we're going to take a look at a story and follow up on one that we reported here several months ago. And it has to do with the small bucolic town of St. Helens, Oregon, which is up in the Columbia River Gorge. And the nastiness in the school district there just continues to get, well, shall we say, ickier. Now, St. Helens police arrested St. Helens High School choir teacher, why is it choir teachers, Eric Stearns, for a second time on additional sex abuse charges after 8 additional victims, students, came forward with allegations. Now, Stearns was first, as we told you, arrested back on November 12th after an initial investigation resulted in his indictment on 7 counts of second-degree sexual abuse and 1 count of third-degree sexual abuse. Now, according to the St. Helens Police Department, 8 additional victims, 8, came forward after his initial arrest, and Stearns was arrested again on January 4th and lodged in the Columbia County Jail. He now additionally faces 1 count of first-degree sex abuse, 6 counts of second-degree sexual abuse, and 4 counts of third-degree sexual abuse. And then we have 2 other current or former school employees who also have been charged with crimes. That would be retired math teacher Mark Collins, who also faces allegations of sexual abuse against students, and St. Helens High School principal Katie Wagner on mistreatment and misconduct charges. Now, in Wagner's case, well, it looks like, allegedly, she was covering all this up. Because according to the St. Helens Police Department, these allegations go back to 2019, and they found the allegations after, finally, one of the victims went to the St. Helens Police Department. They did the investigation and found, my gosh, this has been going on for 5 years. Collins, by the way, that would be retired teacher Mark Collins, was arrested November 12th. Wagner, the principal, was arrested November 26th. Now, what's interesting is that it appears, and what the public believes is likely true, that a cover-up was going on in the St. Helens School District to try and protect the teachers, which makes it somewhat darkly ironic that the St. Helens School District posted a statement on its website after the new arrests stating they are deeply saddened by the news. Yeah, because they've got caught. And there's likely a number of civil cases that are going to come out of this. Now, last month, the school district, by the way, while everyone was enjoying their Christmas break, quietly published a list of 10 other employees of the school district who are on paid administrative leave in relation to sexual abuse investigations. And that was all prompted by community outcry at the fact that Stearns was never placed on leave ahead of his first arrest, even though the district was aware law enforcement was, investigating him. Like I said, it just continues to get uglier. Well, Oregon is your favorite nanny. And Oregon officially banned the sale of fluorescent light bulbs, and that ban went into effect on New Year's Day. Oregon enacted the legislation saying that they're reducing environmental toxins. House Bill 2531, which passed 2 years ago, prohibits the sale of the mercury-containing light bulbs, and they encourage residents and businesses to transfer to and transition to LED lighting. Well, really, they have no choice because you can't get incandescent bulbs, and now you can't get fluorescent bulbs, so what else are you supposed to buy? Now, while the LED lights are initially more expensive, they are supposed to be more energy efficient and have a longer lifespan. Now, some businesses already were making transitions to the LED lights. Others were actually waiting for their fluorescent bulb stocks to burn out. And even others were out, according to hardware stores, hoarding fluorescent bulbs. And then you have other businesses that had no clue this was going into effect. The transition, by the way, will likely require, especially for businesses, expensive rewiring of a number of fixtures. Okay, so the first thing notable that now newly sworn in Secretary of State Tobias Reed has done so far was hold a special closed-door meeting with the state's highest elected officials. That would be Governor Tina Kotek, new Attorney General Dan Rayfield, Treasurer-elect Elizabeth Steiner, and Labor Commissioner Christina Stevenson. What was done at the secret meeting? Well, it's not secret anymore. The whole meeting was called so they could discuss how to coordinate efforts to stop President Donald Trump and any actions he takes in 2025. Right. So in other words, they're planning lawfare. The interesting thing is, Reid, so far, even though he's been asked, has been completely silent as the new Secretary of State, and some would say dismissive on the question as to how nearly 50,000 Oregon voters were registered in the state without verifying they were a U.S. citizen, and what he was going to do to rectify that, and what was going to be done about Oregon's voter rolls. So, in other words, with the new Secretary of State, we're back to business as usual. Well, several Oregon lawmakers are calling on the incoming administration to nix a plan that we've told you about to kill about 500,000 barred owls on the West Coast, and they cited the cost and infeasibility. The letter was sent earlier this week, and the lawmakers say the federal plan calls for specially trained hunters to be hired to kill 500,000 barred owls at a cost of $1.35 billion. They call the plan thoroughly impractical. The letter was addressed to Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, the heads of Trump's recently formed Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. According to the letter, it cannot work, and it won't work. It's a budget buster. Now, this was actually the letter written by 4 Oregon lawmakers: Republican Representative Ed Deal, Republican Representative Virgil Osborne, Republican State Senator Bruce Starr, and Democratic Representative David Gomberg. The owl plan, by the way, was finalized by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service back in September and is supposed to launch this spring, and it's meant to reduce habitat competition between the barred owls and the northern spotted owl, because apparently, well, the barred owl is better at surviving in the wild. The spotted owl, by the way, is listed in the Endangered Species Act as a threatened species. Now, in addition to the exorbitant costs, finding thousands of individuals who are going to volunteer to go out and kill perfectly healthy owls and compensating them, according to the lawmakers and common sense, is unrealistic. Okay, so it is the first of the year, and keeping in the theme of what Rick likes to call dumb or stupid news, I will bring you this piece, and I will tell you right now that it's a little bit adult in nature. Believe it or not, there is a list that's put together at the end of the year. And we'll get to that list in a second. You know, people overall are just many times not very bright. For instance, I was able to find 2 confirmed cases where people voted for Kamala Harris for president because Cardi B suggested that they do so. Then you have people that buy Starbucks every morning, even though they could be having a cheaper and better cup of coffee. And then you have those people that just can't figure out the difference between the words ingress and egress. And that is going to be the topic of the last story. Now, you may have heard that convicts have a phrase that they use for a particular hiding place on the human body. It's called the prison wallet. And let's just say the prison wallet is why we have things called cavity searches, if you get my drift. Now, I will admit that in a weird and sort of dark way, there's a certain practicality to the so-called prison wallet because, hey, a guy's got to have some place to put his cigarettes. Then there's, well, shall we say, the civilian non-incarcerated population. And, well, that leads us to this particular story. And every year, a list is put together of the weirdest stuff that entered, well, people's butts. Now, you may be asking, who in God's name is keeping track of this? Well, I'll tell you who's paying for it, and that is you, the taxpayer. Because this report is taken directly from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission's database of emergency room visits. And all of the descriptions, and some of them are verbatim, and all of the entries that I'm mentioning here are all collected by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. Yes, these are things that, well, doctors had to pull out of people's butts. Some of them even have the actual reports that were written on the forms. Like our first one. Patient states that he and his wife got carried away and a portion of a plastic screwdriver handle is unable to be removed from nature's back pocket. Other things that were removed by doctors: a xylophone mallet, a foam ball, 12-inch ratchet extender. According to the patient, he just doesn't know why. Good answer. Cylindrical wooden block, cooking spray, can of deodorant. This one's pretty good. The report reads, patient complains of ankle, abdominal, and neck pain after jumping off a second-floor balcony. He also reported a foreign body in his rectum. Sounds like that was an interesting evening. Also removed a broomstick. This one, a bag of soil. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been sitting around the house looking at some of my wife's potting soil and saying, hey, that could be going places. Another report, patient shoved a bag containing 20 hydroxyzine pills into his rectum for street cred. I don't want to know this person's friends. Also, another person lost a pen up there because, according to the medical report, the patient tried to remove poop with the pen a few days ago and lost it. Another person had a 50-cent piece removed. Then we have a scrub brush. Another one, patient states he tripped in the shower and fell backwards and landed on a shampoo bottle, which became lodged. Another patient states they slipped and fell in the bathtub, landing on a baby shark toy. Another patient reported took clonazepam, a dose 3 times instead of once, and now says they have a battery in the rectum and nausea. Another, a plastic lemon, a Jell-O mold, and finally, my fave, was roughhousing with her husband who lifted her up and accidentally dropped her on a hot dog cooker. Guess where it had to be removed from? All right. Well, Rick, are you proud now that you're a sponsor of the news? And with that, I wish you a happy new year. And now it's time for Rick to get real.